Okay, hopefully this video will go a lot better. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm an hour late. Um, let's get to it. I wanted to talk to you today about the brain, the heart, and the soul. First off and foremost, the brain, yes, we think we know it's consciousness. Wow, that almost looked like my hands. That's weird. I'll keep my hands down. Um, your brain, your heart, and your soul. Prophetic message here. You need to understand what I don't mean to I'm going to try to convey is that our brains are the gateway for the adversary, the devil, to get in there and really twist up our brains as we think and we overthink, and that's what really pulls our spirits down is when our brains beat us up. And if any of you have ever laid in bed at night and had your thoughts going and you're trying to sleep, just at a invisible anonymous show of hands, how many times does your brain beat the shit out of you, just beat you up? There are days where you get up and your brain just beats you up. We call that the monkey mind, and monkey mind for a reason, because the mind is keenly manipulated and worked through by the devil. That's not some like ooh scary red little monster breathing fire. It's negative energy, negative energy, and in that space is where he manipulates our thoughts. And if you haven't noticed, when you do take things to your brain, it usually doubts them and it usually shoots them down, and your brain spends a lot of time dragging you back into mental situations that are agonizing, not ending, and your brain beats the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? So that does happen. Um, so that's the negative issues of the brain. So I wanted you to understand that the brain is more or less something that the devil, the adversary, can actually get to. He can manipulate, and that's what causes suicide. The devil gets in people's brains, and he can get in there and manipulate thoughts so bad that these people might think it's okay to do the act or actually think the way they think when they leave the world. So what I'm saying is the brain is an avenue. It's a monkey mind. It beats you up. Your mind beats you up. Your mind, like I said, takes you back to painful places and not too good there. Your heart, however, is the middle in between. It's the negotiator between your soul and your brain. And as your heart sits as in the middle between your brain and your soul, it's a negotiator. You can't get the brain to go tell the soul anything. Those two they don't even really want to know the other one exists. You really have a hard time getting the brain to move the heart. Usually the brain is very analytical and realistic and wants to make choices based on self-preservation and not hurting the physical body. That's what the brain does. So the brain is, what I'm telling you as a teacher preacher, is the brain's going to do you no good. The brain can be manipulated, and the brain is not that strong. So what I'm, not for thinking and cognitive thought, I'm talking about spiritually. Your brain does you no good. And Jesus wanted me to say, let's not let our brains lead the way. You're in a life. This is a life between you and him. Your holy grail is going to be finding out what your sole purpose is, your mission on here on this earth, and why you were put here from God. You're only going to figure out your soul purpose when you wake up your soul and use it. And that'll never happen if we don't go outside of our minds. So Jesus, with a cute little bumper sticker and little t-shirts to sell, wanted to invite you to go outside to be outside your mind. Be crazy. The devil loves to own that crazy line here in the 3D, here on Earth, where we live. And anyone that's deemed crazy, oh, dear Lord, the devil loves it if we would stay below the crazy line. I'm called crazy. Why? Because I love God, because I have the spiritual mantle, because I realize that spiritual gifts are for every single person, and where our job is to know that and get them and wear them while we're alive, right where we stand, while we step into mission and live happily. he tells me that our brain is not the leader of our bodies, and it shouldn't be that way. We should mute the brain when it comes to him. When it comes to our spiritual walk, mute the brain. It is the last in line. The first in line is going to be your soul. Our bodies, our physical bodies, my fingers, my shoulders, my elbow, my mouth, all of this is an ambassador for the soul. The soul is, what is that? Moving mist and smoke that's rainbow colored. I mean, what is that? It's the animation of you. That's the soul. And it's filled with spirit, which is God. And then we have the negotiator in the middle, the heart, and then we have the brain. So what I'm telling you that Jesus is saying, he wants our lives to be led by the soul. Be soul-led in your life, which means to make decisions out of fear. Out of love, not because of fear. You don't stay somewhere because you're afraid you're going to be alone. You move on because you're not happy, or vice versa. You make choices out of love, not fear. And that can change your entire life. And so what he's saying is lead with your soul. Let your body, outer body, do the soul's work. The soul does not have arms and pinky toes and chins and noses like my body does. Okay? The soul needs help. It is housed inside of me. My job is to wake up to the fact that I have a soul and get this body to start being an ambassador for the things that my soul wants. When people say, I want to be happy, I want to find happiness, you're not going to find happiness out there in the world. You're not going to find happiness in another person. Happiness is like the mob. It's an inside job. And the only reason you're going to be happy is if you're doing your soul work. When you're doing your soul passionate work, I bet you love your job. I bet you love the person you're with. I bet you love everything about your life with zest, conviction, depth, heft, and weight. All the things that we're agonizing and melancholy for in our lives now as we live kind of cut off from spirit. So as a PSA from heaven, he was saying, mute this mind. Open this up right here and allow the soul to come through. Let the work be done so you can literally live out your soul's purpose. I'm kind of doing that with the porch and stuff, and I paint and I draw and I love God, and I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going, I-N-G, I'm being, I'm a human being, always evolving, be a verb, not a noun, right? So the brain, let's just take for instance, if Jesus put something in your heart, okay, I'm now a preacher teacher and 6 or 7 years in the making. Let me tell you a funny story. I don't know how many years ago, but it was kind of new in my journey. Jesus was, I think it was like 18 19 months into my journey. I was in a Chick-fil-A line like at nighttime in Oklahoma by myself, and the line is full. And I never stop in there, but I stopped in. I'm in the drive-thru thumping to my country music and doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I hear God the way that I do. And I heard him tell me to get out of the car. Like, once you get up here and get your food. And I see a video montage of it in the back of my mind. And that's exactly how I receive him today. The messages he brings. So in my youngerhood with Jesus doing this, I rolled up and got my food. And I got this idea, and I knew this knowing that he wanted me to get out of the car, go into Chick-fil-A, and say, now see, he wasn't going to tell me in the car. He said, I'll tell you, I'll be on your lips when you go inside. And now, like, after years of growing with him, I know what he means, because I can pull up the video camera and I know that Jesus will show up and do what he does out of my mouth. But back then, are you kidding me? You want me to get out of my truck at a drive-thru, which nobody likes doing that, to even go get a salt packet or an extra straw. So you want me to go in and probably say something preachery to everybody in there, and it is full, and they're all going to look at me and, oh my God, they think I'm crazy. I didn't do it. I couldn't muster doing it. And I remember I drove out of that parking lot and the 6 blocks home like a beat dog. And every little inch my tires rolled, the more guilty and horrible and remorseful I felt. So a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, I park in my driveway. And I promised God that I would never do that again. Like, give me another chance, I swear. Because what had happened there is I had let my ego get in the way. I let a command that landed on my heart that I heard. Okay, let me close my hair. That I heard. I let that command hit my brain And then what did my brain do? My brain started rationalizing, analyzing, and trying to decide if the ego was willing to do that. Now, my brain sent it right back down to the heart and said no. Now, because why? Because I feared what people were going to think of me. Oh, can we please get rid of that disease? I mean, if Jesus could do OR, an OR, get people to the OR, the first thing he would eradicate is the need to please other people. We should be pleasing him. And believe me, be you. The world will get used to it. We got used to Prince and Michael Jackson and other loud characters, Dennis Rodman. Okay, the world gets used to you. Make a place for yourself and be loud, be proud. Back to what I was saying. So like I said, if we get a command in the heart, we're more than likely in your younger spiritual growth, you're more than likely to be told by your brain, no, I'm not doing that. So you don't do that. Let's just say you go through your life making rational decisions and analytical decisions, and you don't listen to your heart because maybe people have told you when you were a little kid not to trust your heart, think about it. And for some of us, it's the other way around. We were told to let our hearts be our compass and to let that guide us and all that good stuff. We have to realize that life is an experience. That's what this is. It's a teaching, learning, breathing experience. I just spat at the camera, my bad. It's an experience. You can't fuck up being you. And yes, sometimes it's important to cuss, okay? You can't fuck up being you. You're you. There's no thing as mistakes, because they're just learning opportunities. I mean, what was it? One of the light bulbs was, people have invented things over and over and over again and watch them fail, and then one time get them right. And they'll tell you, it's 99 times I got it wrong. That's not failing. It's a human, worldly complex that we're taught that we have to be good, we have to be right, we have to follow a certain modeled program in our lives, which is outdated and doesn't serve us. How does that serve us when we're doing what the world thinks we should be doing? We're doing what the world expects that we should be doing. Man, all that. I'm not what you expected. Come on. There's so much more to live for than this little bitty tiny cave, this little bitty room that the devil makes sure that we stay in by listening to our mind. So Jesus said, you have to let go of the world to hear him. You have to let go of the matrix to hear him. You've got to get out of your ego and you've got to get out of your mind. So Jesus loves it when you cross the crazy line. And I told you before, the devil loves to have an invisible line. And if you go across it, you'll be called crazy. A lot of people stay below that line because they're absolutely terrified of somebody calling them crazy or not normal or them sticking out and what have you. I mean, look back in far societies, we've been taught not to do that. You know what I'm saying? Get along or, get along to get along. That doesn't have to be the way it is. This is the world right now is being owned by the devil, by the adversary. And that's why it's so negative. And it's not just right now in the 2020s. This is his world until Jesus comes back. So we're going to be attacked and we're going to be manipulated. And that's why Jesus says, stay out of your mind. Stay out of your mind because that's where you're being manipulated. It's the only place that the devil can truly get to you. And you ever notice between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, some nights your thoughts can really pull your spirit down and shut your heart off. And like I said, that gets dangerous. So what he's asking us to do is he's asking our bodies to be an ambassador of our soul. You need to come through and let your soul start talking. If you want to wear a cowboy hat, start playing violin, then do so. If you want to write a book and start wearing pink every day to prove a point, then do so. Do whatever. Get out of the truck at the Chick-fil-A and yell something great about God and then get back in your truck. You know why? Because the world's going to keep turning. They're going to judge me anyway. You know what I'm saying? On some form. You know what I mean? So we have purpose and I just got a ring in my ear. You get commands right here in your heart and you know that they might sound like the hokey pokey in the shower. Do it. Start obeying that is talking within you and get out of your mind. So that was really important. If you haven't noticed too, if you look at people or know people that have spent most of their life making analytical and rational decisions and leaving their heart out of it, they might be super successful and super this and that, but they're not happy. And I'm not making a general, I know that there's a person in my own family as of right now who is a very successful person and shouldn't have any reason to be in the condition that he's in, but he's in the condition he's in because he's not happy. Okay, and that leads to substance abuse, that leads to depression, that leads to suicidal thoughts, that leads to erratic behavior, being not happy, and being not happy for a long period of time, decades, years. And we're kind of silently taught by the world that this is okay, that you need to carry your cross. I call bullshit on that, and that's a half lie. A half lie. That's bullshit. Jesus did not die for me to come down here and get stuck in a small little paradigm and stuck in a cave and where I'm barely breathing. And I'm faking happiness my entire life, thinking that I'm only going to get it once I'm dead and I'm sitting with Jesus because I did good. Oh, I hope that works. That's really not how he wanted it to work. So as you come into a spiritual journey, into a spiritual path, you will then wake up to your soul. A lot of people, here on the porch, there's like 180 of us now, and that's awesome. But like a schoolhouse, there's different stages and ages, and we're all growing at different times. So some of us have been on a spiritual journey for a while. That doesn't make it better than somebody else. It just means they've been through some more experiences. That's all. So we're all going to be facing the same curriculum. And it'd be folly of me as a teacher, as a leader, not to tell you day one stuff. So day one, if we're going to be here on the porch, we're going to be growing in our spiritual lives. We're going to be growing side by side. I need to tell you, as you start this journey and this opening up of your heart and your soul to yourself and to God, you're going to experience a cracking away of your life. It's called disillusion of kingdom. Everything you love will probably go away. We call those fields. And once your field is clear, Jesus will raise you back up just like himself. He's raised back up. As a phoenix, you will rise amongst the ashes of your own life. A part of you no longer existing, you've laid that down because you're new in Christ. New DNA, new bones, new perspective. If you haven't noticed when you pray, Jesus doesn't change your situation. He changes your perspective. That's the kind of guy he is. So your perspective is pretty much empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand ... And when you step into unconditional love, the first thing that Jesus starts teaching you is empathy. Okay? And understanding. So that, and that gets you out of your head. The peace that passes understanding. Don't be in your head. And that's where the devil wants you to be. And if you take someone that's actually used their mind and left their heart and soul out of their life's equation, you have people like I just spoke of in my family who are really successful but struggling through a very difficult time right now. And the root of the problem is because they're not happy. Looking for happiness on the outside of us, looking for validation, looking for people to value you in irrelevant things like skin color, like your zip code, how much you make. Numbers don't matter, how old you are. There's always this upper-lower system of us putting each other in more important order. And if we're going to be equal, we need to learn empathy. Empathy, that creates tolerance, love, sovereignty, compassion. It all stems from love, and unconditional love at that. So to have a good start to your spiritual journey, know that you're going to cross across stepping stones and bridges with Jesus as he takes walks with you, and as we take conversation and walks here on the porch together. Just know that being in your mind about things is not where you need to be. When you start receiving your spiritual gifts, your mind's going to tell you that you've lost you're off your rocker, you're crazy, you're delusional, or what, your mind will tell you a lot of stuff, and that's why we call it the monkey mind. Your mind will beat you up. Your heart doesn't do that. Your heart feels sorry for you. Your heart empathizes with you. Your heart feels sympathy for you. That's why we have self-loathing parties. We feel sorry for ourselves. So our heart is not the one who beats us up. That's your mind. And we call it the monkey mind for a reason. So being in your mind when you start walking with Christ is not where he wants you to be. He wants you to be in your heart, so you're also an ambassador to your soul. And once you do that, like I said, the heart isn't strong enough to change the mind. The mind changes the heart, or gets it to sit still, or the mind puts it on a shelf, okay? Because it'll cause change, status quo is changing, and that scares people. So the mind wants you to stay small, and then, like I said, that's something the devil does all the time. He beats you up, he wants to remind you how shitty you are, and he wants to keep you small. So the mind is a place that is palatable by the devil. He can get in there. And that's why when you find suicide people on the brink and you're wondering why they're acting that way, because they have been attacked so bad by that mindful mindfuck that they've actually shut off the heart, and the soul voiceless. The soul is dead. They can't feel it anyway. Because the heart is the middleman between the brain and the soul. And without the middleman, there's no message getting through. All you're living in is the hell of the brain. If you've ever sat and thought about your own thoughts, or for people that have done jail time, I haven't, I'm just speaking of it. But if you sit with your own thoughts enough, it'll drive you insane. Right? Because it's your own version of hell. Being up in your mind about stuff is your own version of hell. If you're constantly overthinking the future, then you're full of anxiety and worry and a little bit of fear. And you're thinking about something that you cannot control, which is where the devil wants all your energy. Okay, stop. Full stop. If you're up in your mind and you're thinking about the past, then you're regretful, you're melancholy, you're remorseful, you're stuck there. Okay? So when we're not present in the moment, right here, when we're up in our head, either going forward or going backwards, we're in that place where the devil can manipulate and play with us, which pulls our spirits down, which pulls our hearts down, which makes us depressed for a week or two, because you beat your mind up and you played around up there. So the best thing that we can do on a spiritual walk with Jesus Christ is to mute this, and that's hard to do when you've been trained your whole life to get this involved. Because let me tell you, your spiritual walk with Jesus Christ ain't going to make no sense. It is irrational, the path that he has for you, but it's constant. Okay, so I think I'm leaving off some stuff, but it was really important for me to get that across to you. I made another video and I accidentally deleted it, and I was really angry for that because it had good mana in it. But, yes, your soul is what leads you through this life, not your brain. You can't send a dog to do a chicken's job or a chicken to go do a dog's job. But why would you send your mental brain, your temporal brain, who likes to define everything and needs to have answers for things? And guess what? God is love and love is God, and you cannot define love. You cannot define it. It's infinite. And we keep trying to define it with what? Our hearts? Our souls? No, because they know what the God complex is. That knows what the the Trinity is. It's the mind that challenges the God complex. Well, what does he look like? Where is he from? Who said that? And it's our mind that wants to create his face or to know. And you can't define what God is. It's undefinable. So that's why your mind we have trouble letting go of this and seeing God for what he truly is. And while I'm on that subject, and I'll hop off of here, while I'm on that subject, Jesus was working with me earlier this morning on how we kind of have God. Okay, I'm not talking about Jesus, we're talking about God. A lot of people have God painted as Zeus or like Little Mermaid's dad, like looking like Thor with like a golden, something in his hand and a crown. Like we think that that's God, because it's kind of like, what is God? Okay. Not opinion based, but spiritually taught from Spirit. He has let me to know, and I hope you agree, that God himself is an energy, guys. He's an energy. There is no face to that. You know what I'm saying? No, not like what you're thinking, a face with nose and eyes. And that's why we had Jesus. He's the embodiment of that energy. But as far as we're talking about is God, God is not Zeus, okay? And God is not Little Mermaid's dad, okay, in a Michelangelo painting. God is. And he said this to me himself. He's the 4 elements plus the 5th, okay, making him omniscient, making him Alpha Omega, like he said he was. And I know that in the Bible, Jesus shows up as water, as the river. He shows up as air. He shows up as the earth beneath us, and he shows up as fire, okay, and then everything in between, quintessence. That's so when you're thinking about God, release the temporal brain trying to define what God is. He's Little Mermaid's dad. He looks like Zeus. Okay. Release that. Get the brain out of the way. And accept and acknowledge with the heart and the soul who God really is. God is fire that breathes. He's the wind that blows. He's water. And you're like, how could he be these things? He needs to be a person. God is a spirit. God is love, and love is God. They're the same if you hold a mirror up, in the middle of that, they reflect. So I don't care how you go about it, that's what it is. It's actually that love should be, if there has to be the word religion, we should be housed in love. But it's our temporal minds that had to dissect the love and paint pictures of men's faces and do what we need to do to define it and make churches thereafter and ways of thinking. And now we have a lot of different churches teaching a lot of different ways to get to the same spirit, to get to love. Every religion in the world might be teaching you different persons to chase, whether it's Jesus, Mother Mary, or Muhammad, or what have you. All of them can agree that we're all chasing love. And that it's love. God is love, and that's simple as that. So I just wanted to let you know. That was another video I was going to make, was to allow you to know that God is love. And therefore, he is spirit. So, like for instance, the Sahara Desert sands just blew over here onto the United States. Wow, did the sand have a mind to do that? A GPS system? No. It followed the wind, and it happens all the time. It's constant. It's irrational that happens, right? It's crazy. Go look up the number facts on it. It's absolutely mind-boggling that sand can travel that far, that wide, on top of water, where if it fell, it just disintegrates. So it's actually really amazing. This is all the God complex. When you go stand at a river and you stare at it, you ever picked up a river rock? And we know that Jesus does this to us, that he erodes us as smooth as a river rock. So you find him in you ever been to the mountains? You ever been to the foot of a mountain, the summit of them, the top of the mountain? That is God. So around, even Moses experienced God as a burning bush of fire. So just know that God himself is all the four elements, plus the fifth, omniscient and Alpha Omega all around us. And it's that energy that he poured into his son so we could see a face and use our human temporal minds to actually see it and get it and know it. Okay? And Jesus is like our heart. He's our mediator between God, who I'm telling you is the soul, okay? The soul, the heart, and the brain. All right? So the same three, just like the Trinity here. It's just like the Trinity. You have brain, don't go away from me, thoughts. I hate it when my thoughts go away from me. Anyway, there's a marriage that needs to happen between your heart and your soul. And God is your soul. He's your soul. He's in there. He's spirit. Spirit means breath in Greek. So he is the breath inside of you. You take that breath out and people die. That's what we say, So the breath in you that animates you, that's your soul. And you have a specific purpose. You have a plan. Don't let people lie to you and tell you that you don't have a purpose and plan. And if you're bored with your life right now, great. That's exactly the kind of hunger and frustration that God loves to use. So he wants you to get out of your boring life that you're pretending to be happy in, and tired of holding the cross of pretending, because there's real happiness to be had when you're living in your soul and your heart's wide open and you don't even give a damn. You don't give a damn what people think. You don't give a damn. You just go because you have faith, and the world will adjust to you being you. So I hope that we all can live that much on fire. And like I said, we're here for a spiritual walk on this earth to experience and learn. You're not supposed to get it right. We're not supposed to just come down here and just be good. There's a lot more to this than that. There's fire, there's conviction, there's magic. Dig in there and go get it. It's not easy. It's hard work because it's covered in all of your own shit. So for right now, as we start out as a class, as growers and knowers together, from here on out, stay out of your mind. All it's going to do is beat you up and keep you small and tell you lie after lie after lie. Keenly do that. So know who you are here and know who you are in Christ. And I think that'll be the end of the message today. So everybody have a safe day. Stay away from COVID. Stay away from firecrackers. Don't get burned. Don't get hurt. All that good stuff. God bless, and I hope to see you guys soon. Look, I'm going to knock the camera down right there at the end.